To Seller Sessions. I am your host today, Sharon Evan, and today I have Sacha Gorelik. Sacha, how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Gorelik?
It's Gorelik. It's like Gorelik. Yeah.
I should know this since we've been working together for so long. Anyway, we have Sacha Gorelik, the one and only amazing copywriter, mother, and many, many other things. But I'm going to let you do the intro.
Okay.
You guys may notice that my background's different. I'm just going to let you all know that I'm not at home right now. I'm on holiday, and I'm sitting on the floor in my hotel room in order to utilize the best lighting of here. So I'm just letting you all know I'm sitting on the floor. I know I look weird. Anyway, it's not important. If you're listening on the podcast, never mind. Sacha, thank you so much for being here. Please introduce yourself for anyone who doesn't know you.
Fine. So for anyone who doesn't know me, I feel like a lot of people have seen my name online, but this is me. I look really young, but I promise you I am an adult and I have 4 children. But in my professional life, what I have been doing for about 5 years now, a bit more, is working with Amazon sellers on their listings and A+ content, and more recently helping sellers really, build a proper brand messaging strategy, building out their brand stories, creating content for websites, because more and more Amazon sellers are obviously diversifying and not just having sort of one channel, and they're building Shopify sites. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah, and I love it, and I love working with all these entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and bigger companies, and just the innovation and what everyone's doing is really cool. I love it.
Amazing. Sacha and I have been working together for quite a while now. Do you know, Sacha? I don't know if you know how we actually met, but we met at Sellerfest in Israel.
We did. In Tel Aviv, I think.
Yep. That's where we met a while ago. So today we're going to be speaking about brand personality, which is a really interesting subject. And I would love for you to explain to everyone what a brand personality means. Like what is a brand personality?
Yeah, what is a brand personality? It's a great question. I mean, if we think about what's a personality, we all understand that it's the characteristics of a person. And when you talk about brand personality, what that means is that your brand is almost like a human being, and you're going to be giving it real, like, human characteristics. So for instance, like if you think of, actually I'll give it this is actually a really interesting way to understand brand personality, but there's a book series for kids. It's called The Mr. Men. Do you know it, Sharon? Like you have,
no, I don't.
So there's the Mr. Men, and then there's the little Miss characters, and they're like these little characters, and each one has a personality.
Yes, of
Mr.
course.
Happy, Mr. Noisy, Little Miss Giggles, and so each one literally embodies that specific character. So everything about Mr. Happy is happy, and he lives in this happy house. And you have this character called Mr. Uppity, and he's like the snobby character, and he lives in this huge mansion, and he's very snobby and doesn't talk to anyone. And so those little characters, the Mr. Men, embody those characteristics. So that's what happens when you choose certain personalities for your brand. It basically creates like a human sort of aspect, and that's what helps customers connect with you and actually see you differently, and they say, oh, this brand really gets me, or I really vibe well with this brand, because you've taken on like these human characteristics. You can think about it like, a brand like Victoria's Secrets. It's not a man. You think of it, if it was a person, what gender would it be? It'd probably be a woman. Where would she live? She'd probably live in some kind of like really fancy mansion. But then if we have a brand, like if you're from the UK, like Primark, so Primark is probably just any guy or girl off the street kind of thing. They probably live in like a cheap rental flat. So just thinking about your brand in terms of like an actual person is really interesting. And what was I going to say about that? Yeah, so it's really important, because if you don't humanize your brand at some point, everything is just going to be really dry and really boring. And I think that's going to really help brands differentiate themselves in the marketplace from other people who are selling maybe similar products. Yeah.
So would a brand personality be similar to a buyer avatar?
Yeah, kind of. It kind of, I would say it mirrors almost your brand avatar. So if you're in, let's say, the sports or, I don't know, outdoors category, so your customer avatar is going to be someone who's more rugged, tough. They like being outdoors. They have an adventurous spirit. They're a risk taker, stuff like that. And so then that would probably be the type of characteristics that you'll be choosing for your brand. I was actually going to say, like, if you think about, let's say, Sharon Evans and your brand personality, like, people think it's like the colors that you choose and the vibe that you give off is like your very fierce personality, like bold, brave, you know, like risk taker. So all those characteristics are what attracts certain people to you. Whereas, let's say, my brand personality is probably a bit more, I say, like more of the creative, like magical, transformational type of stuff that I like to do with product descriptions and working with different brands. Maybe I'm more on the calmer side of things, I don't know, but just different vibes that people connect with. And it's really funny if someone on here is listening, but one of your people from your group, Sharon, he spoke to me the other day and he's like, Sacha, I like you. I like working with you because you don't wear makeup. And I like that about you because you're very simple and you're very straightforward. And I'm like, that's hilarious. But I do put some makeup on, but it's very natural. So, but that's really funny because it's part of my brand, I guess, or it's part of me, which is just like authentic. And that really somehow or other connected with that type of person. So it was very funny. I was not expecting that comment from a client. Yeah.
I have to say that I've never had anyone, I mean, obviously I wear makeup and I love makeup. I used to be a makeup artist, so, you know, I wear a lot of makeup, but I just can't imagine someone saying, I like working with you because you don't wear makeup. Like, what?
It was very funny. It was very funny. Yeah.
If anyone is who's just come on now, I am sitting on the floor in my hotel room. I'm on holiday right now, so I'm sorry if I keep moving because it's pretty uncomfortable. Saibi, which I learned his real name is Simon, said Sharon is Little Miss Sunshine. I think Sasha's Little Miss Sunshine.
Maybe.
And I think I'm probably like, I don't know, if there's a Little Miss Fierce, that would probably be me. When I think of like my brand as my personal brand, as in, you know, me, I feel like a lion is a really good, like, you know, that's why that's my logo as well.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people here saying hello, so hello to everyone. It's interesting what I'm hearing you say, because I know that, just for anyone listening to us, there is a difference between a buyer avatar for a product and between a brand personality for your brand, because you could be selling, I don't know, let's just say a line of cosmetics products, okay? And you could have cosmetics products both for men and for women, right? So the buyer avatar on a product level will be different, okay? And you could have also different packaging, etc. for that. But the brand personality is one, right? Like, it's one brand personality that doesn't change.
Yeah, it doesn't change. And that's the whole point, is that it's consistent. Like, it's consistent. Like, everywhere you talk to your customers, everything that you do is very, very consistent with this personality. And that's how you become, you know, recognizable as well. So yeah, all these comments are hilarious. Sorry, they keep coming in.
Simon said maybe more like Miss Armadillo, hard on the outside, soft on the inside. I mean, I don't know if I'm an armadillo, but I am definitely hard on the outside, soft on the inside. I agree with that. So the reason I wanted to point that out is because, you know, we try and make sure that we don't talk about the same types of you know, we don't repeat stuff on fellow stations. And Danny did have people, McLean, on in the past about buyer avatar. So it was important for me to say that what we're speaking about today, it's not on a buyer avatar level of a product, but rather a brand personality, which is like the most upper level, right?
Yes.
So your brand avatar will change according to products that you bring out, but the brand personality will stay the same.
Will stay the same. Yeah. 100%. Exactly.
Unless you do a rebranding, which I've done in the past.
Yeah, but, unless you do a rebrand, for sure. So there's actually like a lot of like different types of brand personalities, and there's two like frameworks that people, these are like they're actually from psychology, and then they've been applied to marketing. So there's like a 5-part personality framework, which is basically, I'll tell you what they are right now. It's they say that kind of people's characteristics fall into these 5 main categories, which are sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, and ruggedness. And then within those 5 categories, there's like tons of different adjectives. So what you can do is kind of look into that 5-part framework, and then think about which you think resonate with your brand, and then that's going to become your main characteristic. Now, there's another framework which I prefer because it has, I think, more room for creativity within it, in my opinion, and that's like there's like 12 archetypes, which is basically 12 different characters or people, like they're not actual people, but sort of kind of like an avatar, but different characteristics that you can use for your brand. So I'll tell you what they are. I'll go through them because it's super interesting. So there's something called the innocent, and that's a kind of brand that exhibits happiness and optimism, safety, youthfulness. So that's one type of brand archetype. Then there's the everyman. So the everyman is someone that kind of seeks connection, but it also is just very down to earth, very faithful, I guess, very kind of supportive brand. Then there's the hero. So the hero brand is very bold and courageous and inspirational, and they're like out there to like change the world. An example I think of a hero brand might be Nike. Even that's like their brand slogan is they're bringing innovation and inspiration to every athlete, and it's a very bold claim, and not everyone can do that. But like Nike really embodies that like hero type of brand. Then there is the rebel. So the rebel would be something like Harley Davidson, a brand that like likes to break the rules, questions authority. You know, they like crave some sort of rebellion, you know, like not being part of the mainstream type of things. The explorer brand. So this would be definitely like all those outdoorsy brands like Patagonia or REI or any of the outdoors brands, but they find inspiration in travel. They like risk, discovery, the thrill of new experiences. So that's the explorer. Sometimes they're called the adventurer. It just depends what kind of framework you're looking at. The creator. So this would be a brand like Lego or an arts and crafts brand like Crayola, maybe, let's say. And the creator is very imaginative, very inventive. They like to build things, like new things. And that's kind of like what Lego puts across. They're very into like helping kids build and create and create worlds of like stuff with Lego. So that's really what their brand is about. Okay, the ruler. The ruler is really interesting. They're like, imagine someone that's very OCD, very organized. They really bring order to chaos, like very responsible type of brand. So an example like would be British Airways, let's say. They're very like organized, responsible, whereas someone like Virgin Airlines, which just comparing 2 airline brands, Virgin is much more of the rebel because they're like, it's just the brand that, what's his name? Russell Branson, I think. That's the kind of person he is. Like when he started Virgin Airlines, it was like he was stuck at the airport and he just chartered a flight for all the people that were stuck with him, which is a very rebellious kind of thing to do instead of just waiting around and whatever. But let's say British Airways is very proper, very organized. So you kind of really see how different brands embody these different personalities. Okay, the magician. I love the magician. They are someone that likes to create something really special. They make dreams reality. They're very much a visionary type of brand. So a really famous example of a magician brand would be Disney, where when people go to Disney, it's like making kids' dreams come true. And that's basically everything that Disney does. Is very much like a visionary, a dreamer. The lover is a brand that's about intimate experiences. So many lingerie companies do this, where like Victoria's Secret is very into sensuality, passion, romance, that kind of thing. Whereas there's another underwear brand online that's called MeUndies. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're really funny. And they're selling essentially the same products because they're both underwear. But if you embody different brand personalities, you create a completely different type of experience for your customers to connect with. The caregiver, okay, this brand personality is very compassionate, very nurturing, very caring. So most brands like that sell baby products or sell medical care products. They're going to be that kind of brand personality, very nurturing kind of voice when they talk to their customers. The Jester. So I love the Jester. The Jester is a fun brand, and I'm sure you've seen brands do this online where they're just super funny. They make their customers laugh. They always have like puns, or they have funny copy on their packaging that tells like a funny story. One of the Oatly does this in the UK, and Innocent Drinks, which is another brand in the UK that does this, and they just have the most hilarious copy on all their packaging. And I think that, the last one, sorry, is the Sage. And the Sage is a very wise, imagine like the Oracle from, Matrix, a very wise brand. They bring wisdom, and they're more of a mentor or an advisor. So, so you could think of brands that come under that. I don't have any offhand, but so those are kind of the 12 personality types, which I love. I love using them.
So I was just thinking about my brands while you were talking. So I feel like, I've got 2 beauty brands and 1 baby brand, and both of my beauty brands are very like luxurious. So my competitors, for example, are more, I felt like when you were talking about the caregiver, you were describing my competitors. So these are different type of beauty and cosmetics products where my competitors, from the beginning, all of the competitors had very like light peach and white, and that was sort of their colors, and everything looked more healthy and medical and light greens and things like that. And these are like different types of anti-aging products. And then we came in with lots of like blacks and gold and metallic and very sort of sensual looking, young, very, very beautiful models, whereas most of our competitors, because most of the anti-aging products in one of our brands is for women like over 45, over 50, most of the competitors had women over 45 and 50 in their images, whereas we had younger women, because, usually women want, I'm not saying that, this doesn't describe me, this describes my brand, which is a 2 different thing, non-connected. Right? Many women want to then look younger if they're buying these types of products. So we came in a brand personality that was very, I didn't know where we fit in here, but it was really luxurious, but also sensual, because we had, sexy looking type of women.
Right.
So we're just,
would probably be the Lover, probably, because the Lover is definitely like a brand that would fall into that is like Chanel and stuff like that. Even an ice cream brand like Häagen-Dazs could fall under that, where they create those like kind of sensual, luxurious experiences. So but sometimes brands are a blend of different character traits, because like a person, you're not just like one thing all the time. You can sort of blend some of the characteristics together. But that's super interesting that what you're saying is that you came in and you did something different, and that's, I think, really important. Like if you see every single other product in your category has the same kind of blue or green packaging, so it is a risk, because you're like, oh well, if I do something that's totally different, like maybe it's going to go wrong, maybe it's not going to attract people. But I think sometimes coming in and being different is really going to attract the niche sort of thing to you, the people that are looking for something else or a different experience, or just to make you stand out in some way. And that's what can attract people to you.
That was part of our differentiation point for one of these specific brands that I'm thinking of, because we realized that there wasn't anyone offering a brand that looked more, I'm going to call it high quality, simply because of our brand personality. The way that we, and we do have different types of packaging for different types of products. The color theme does change, but on a brand personality level, like if you were to see the brand, I do feel like it's like the Victoria's Secret of cosmetics,
Right.
Whereas our competitors, and we do have one competitor where every single product is named something funny.
Okay.
Right? So it's interesting, as you were talking, I was thinking about, where do I fit in? Where do my competitors fit in? I was thinking about specifically that specific brand, because on our baby brand, we are all very caregiving, all of my competitors as well. There's one that's also funny. So they also, their approaches.
So generally, like what you're saying is that it it does fit in. Oh, someone just asked, like, what brand would put environmentally conscious? So that's a great question. Environmentally conscious could really fit into different types of characteristics. They could be the caregiver, which is more compassionate and nurturing, but they could also be the jester, where they could bring some humor to that kind of category, because that's fun. You know, even rebellious, sometimes you could turn like an eco-conscious brand into more of a rebel, where you're like, you know, stop using plastic, like be brave, take this bamboo straw to work with you, take your, you know, reusable thermos, and be like that eco warrior. Like, so you could really play around with the characteristics in your brand, and really use them creatively.
That's the thing about the environmentally conscious, because it doesn't mean that you then have to be, you know, all about educating, like you were saying, or having it. You can take it to a place where, for example, if it fits, you know, the type of product, but it could be, for example, like you said, funny, right? I think that just because it's like eco-friendly or environmental friendly doesn't mean that you necessarily have to go all
like
I don't know
all
how to
earthy and
like,
nurturing.
it doesn't have to look like that. It can look like that and still be funny. There's a good example. I'm just trying to think of I can't remember the brand, but there's a brand where they make paintbrushes, and they have their packaging is it's like their whole brand is all eco-friendly, and their packaging is basically the paintbrush hair looks like a mustache, because they have a face on that, and it looks like a mustache. So you can still have, I think this is where understanding your brand personality and deciding that from day one can really help you then to also, and I think it all goes together with understanding your differentiation point and where you're coming into the market, what is already on the market, and how can you also be different. If everyone is eco-friendly and very, you know, kind of like with my example of when we came into our very, very niche cosmetics brand, right? Everyone was too healthy, not too, but everyone was really healthy, and there wasn't anyone that came in like luxuriously sexy kind of looking. That's what really helped us from day one. So I feel like, for example, if you're eco-friendly, if there's no one doing something like funny, like Sacha said, or something like that, that could be part of then your brand personality, and you can make it, you know, fun. Or I can't think of any differentiation apart from fun right now, but
I mean, I think you could definitely go down like you could even create some sort of character that's like an eco warrior, because I feel like that with connecting, when customers connect with the brand, they sometimes like to connect with the character. So if you create some sort of character that's your mascot, that's your eco warrior, even if it's like an animal or something, like there's some brands that have like a brand mascot that's like an animal, like if you think of MailChimp, they have the monkey. There's actually a sunscreen brand on Amazon that does that. They have like this ape, they're called Sunbum, and that's like a character that people can connect with. So also just researching what's on the marketplace, because you don't always have to kind of create something from nothing. Like if you look at different soap brands, like you have there's a brand called Anatomicals, which are like hilariously funny stuff, and then you have another brand like Molten Brown, I think it's called, which is like a very luxury kind of soap in the UK. So there's like there's different ways that you can represent your product. Even if you think, oh, it has to look a certain way, it doesn't. You can really think out of the box, and try and maybe carve yourself a different kind of character that people will instantly recognize as being like, oh, that eco-friendly brand, like that one that's really rebellious and really cool and really out of the box. It
was interesting how you said an animal or like a character, because there are some, like, for example, there's a really, really well-known planner on Amazon called the Panda Planner. It's like the number one selling planners, and obviously their logo is a panda, right? And there's a panda planner, but they have a whole lot of different types of planners. But you know, the minute you see the panda, you know that
you love it. I love pandas.
Well, I love pandas too, but the thing is, the minute you see their logo, for example, you know who the planner belongs to. To understand like the planners. And I think that the brand personality is very much connected with like the way that you put your logo as well can very much explain also what type of brand you have. And these are a lot of things that like people don't think about. It's just like, if we take the community that I have or my coaching, it's called the Amazon FBA Alphas. And with the Alpha, my logo and my text, everything's black and gold, and my logo is a lion. Right? Because I was going after like the top, who wants to be an Amazon seller, but like in the top range, not the people that are trying to just stick around for a couple of years.
Exactly.
People that want to actually like build a brand and be the alphas. And that's why I chose the lion, because that's what it represented to me. Where else?
Cool also, because I'll say like you didn't just like be like, oh, I like this logo, it's cool, let's use a lion. It's like, that is you, that is who your brand is. That's that's how you speak to everyone on Instagram, that's how you speak to everyone on Facebook, like on the seller sessions or wherever your coaching calls. Like you embody that spirit of the lion everywhere. So it's not just like oh, here's my logo and I'll stick it on my brand and that's it and I'll become recognizable. You have to really embody the entire spirit of the character that you've chosen, the personality for your brand.
I feel like it's it's different. We're not talking about the brand personality for my coaching is not the same for my products. But for example, part of it in the lion and choosing the word alpha and things like that, it's like, here we don't bitch. We don't mess around. We're straight to business. Stop complaining. Shit happens. Like that's the type of approach. In other places and other providers, it's different. And they're, so I think that understanding your brand personality can also really help straight away for people to understand, or it should help straight away for people to sort of understand more about your brand from like the first 3 to 4 seconds.
I'll give you an example actually of a brand on Amazon. If you look them up, they're called Angry Orange, and they are a spray for people who have pets to like get rid of nasty odors and stuff like that. And their brand slogan is, what is it? It's smells like heaven, works like hell. And that's the brand slogan. And they actually have their brand ambassador, Snoop Dogg, which obviously helps because he's like super famous and like everyone's like, oh, Snoop Dogg's on here and he's using it. So obviously, so they have him on all their A+ content, which is hilarious. And that's their slogan and it's everywhere. And you know what? There's literally hundreds of different types of pet removal sprays, like odor sprays on Amazon. And most of them are a bit like meh, like they have a nice label and they say like, oh, we remove odors and we're the best smelling. But like everyone remembers Angry Orange because it's like the Angry Orange brand and it has like this hilarious slogan and they have that everywhere. And that's really like, it's kind of like the jester character also because it's quite funny. So that's one example where you can really take a boring kind of product. Like how exciting is a spray that gets rid of odors? It's not very exciting, but when you make it into a character, so it just has that much more impact. Another example is the Squatty Potty. You've heard of them?
Oh, yeah.
So Squatty Potty is like the most like brilliant example of just of embodying a character and good marketing, because what is it? It's a stool and you use it when you need to go. And exactly. And what they did was they created this hilarious video with this like British sounding sort of character, and they had a unicorn pooping and just crazy stuff, and their team was really, I think they were very nervous to launch it because they didn't know what kind of like impression it would make on people. Like, are people going to just laugh at this brand and be like, what the heck is this? Or actually it really, really worked and their sales like exploded like after they released that advert, like that campaign that they did. So yeah, so that's one example. And there's another example on Amazon which I saw, a brand called Combat Wipes, and they're just literally wipes. I'm sorry, we're in the toilet category, but they're like wipes that you use when you're like outdoors and you're on an adventure. And there's tons of brands that sell wipes, and like the way that they named each of their products, they're all the same thing, but one of them they named it more branded more for women, and they gave it a woman's name. They called it Gaia or something. And the way that they talk about the wipes is telling a story of when you're outdoors and you stink and you're in camp and you don't have anywhere to take a shower, and like, but everyone's selling toilet wipes. Like, maybe people use them at home, but who cares? Like, they decided they're going to go into the niche of outdoors people and target those people and segment the market, and then really attract, those type of people by embodying that adventurous spirit, in their branding and in all their copywriting and everything that they do. Yeah.
It's interesting how I think that one of the biggest things I think people listening to us should take from this podcast today is also on a differentiation level, but in general, giving your brand like that extra spice. I can't think of another word apart from spice, or that extra like oomph or pop out or whatever you want to call it, can really, really help, not only to just stand out, but it could also help you for branding outside of Amazon and giving your products life. Like, I feel like a brand personality can give your products I don't have another word for it apart from life. I know I keep looking behind. I wish I could turn my camera around and show you guys my view here. Like, I've got a huge ocean outside, and that's like looking outside. Anyway, but I feel like, I just feel like it's so important, and it's something that so many people don't think about, and so many people don't do. The majority of specifically Amazon sellers don't do this kind of stuff. They don't put that extra, they don't think that extra mile when it comes to their branding, because they're so focused on selling the product.
Yes.
Rather than building a brand. And, the way that I work, I'm so all about brand building and, and understanding your buyer avatar. And it goes hand in hand, because when you understand your buyer avatar, you understand what your brand personality should look like.
Exactly.
Because then who is my brand, who is my buyer avatar, and then what kind of avatar within that do I want to then go after? And I feel that this is just something that most people, well, not most, but many, many, many sellers on an Amazon seller level don't do.
Right. It's something I think that bigger brands think about, and then people think, oh, I can't do that, but you actually can. And it's not like so crazy or so difficult to do. It just is literally kind of just thinking a bit more creatively about your products and what kind of what they do for you, what kind of transformation or what value you want to bring to your customers as well. So
you definitely do not have to be a big brand in order to give your brand a brand personality. You know, when we started our brand, we started like everyone else. We were just another brand.
Yeah.
But we understood, and we did give brand personality to our brands in order for us to, to still stick to the type of buyer avatar we're trying to go after, and at the same time give it that differentiation that no one else was doing.
Right.
So I think that there's so many different aspects for how you can look at your brand personality, but your brand personality definitely has to fit your buyer avatar. So they do go hand in hand, and I do feel like you have to understand first, step one, who is my buyer avatar? And then step two, then what type of brand personality do I want to give it? Because your buyer avatar, you could be selling products to nurses, right? Nurses in America need to buy, all of their own gear and everything. They need to buy
their own everything,
everything, their scrubs and all. So your buyer avatar could be a nurse, but then your brand personality could be going after specifically, the nurse that wants to look extra good when she comes to work or whatever, or more of like luxurious stethoscope case, right? Rather than or whatever it may be. And then your brand personality needs to fit that specific type of buyer avatar as well. Because if you're going to be selling a stethoscope case that's like extremely, I'm making this up as we go, but let's just say really, really bling bling-ish, and you're going to be $15 more than all the other stethoscope cases. If everyone's selling the stethoscope case for $15 and yours is $30 because it's going after that type of buyer avatar, then your brand personality needs to be more luxurious or whatever it may be. Or if you're going after the funny type of buyer avatar, then your brand personality needs to be fun. So I just want to get to some questions here. Magda asked, do you have any tips for books on understanding branding a bit more?
Yeah, there's tons. There's a lot of books.
My laptop's sitting on a book. I was just looking at what one I brought with me, because I brought some books on holiday with me. I actually have a really good branding book, but it's at home, and I just can't remember the exact name of it right now. Do you have
There's one called The Brand Gap, which is a really good one. I really like that one. There's loads of books by Seth Godin, which I love because I love the way he thinks. His book called Purple Cow is one of the first books he read. I think you can even find it free online, but that's really awesome. And it's basically about being a purple cow and standing out in a field of black and white cows. So yeah.
Catherine said, "Thanks, ladies. I just thought of a little character to represent my brand."
Yay.
Yeah, sometimes it's a character, and sometimes it's the font of your logo and your whole color theme. There's so many different things. So I just got some questions for you that I wanted to ask. So how do I figure out which brand personality works best for my product? So we went through the 12 different types of brand personality.
Yes, we did.
But then how do I figure out what is the right brand personality for my specific product, which obviously is connected then to understanding your buyer avatar, but
right, exactly. So that's what I was going to say is like, you can sort of interview customers even if you want, like conduct surveys and understand really what it is that customers want. So I'll give an example. Pampers and Huggies, they still are. They're like major competitors for diapers. And Pampers kept going on about how they kept babies drier for longer. And they kept, that was what they were pushing because that was what their market research showed them that they're better at. But that was a very, it was a feature for their product. But then when they actually spoke to moms and asked them what they wanted, moms just said, we just want someone to help us through all these developmental milestones and someone to give us advice for sleep and someone to help us, just see that we're doing the right thing with our babies. And if you go on the Pampers website, you'll see it's literally just all about parenting. And it has all these tips and for sleep and food and whatever else it is. And once they did that, their sales exploded because mothers really saw Pampers as this like nurturing kind of brand that was looking out for them, that was caring for them, that was understanding their needs as mothers. Whereas Huggies has a different brand personality. I actually went on their website just now and they have this like slogan and it says, "Hey baby, that stuff you're covered in is called skin." So they're kind of using a bit more of the sort of jester kind of thing. And then they talk about skin and baby skin and keeping it soft. But it's very interesting to see how two brands that sell the same products can do things so differently. So I would definitely say when trying to decide what character works best for your brand, is seeing, if you're choosing a character, can you do it properly? Like, can you really bring that character to life? Because you're going to have to really, use those characteristics and develop your brand voice when you're talking to your customers. So if you're not a funny person and you have trouble writing funny copy, so don't choose the jester because it's probably just not going to work if that's not you. But if you're naturally a funny person and you're humorous, and it could work with your products and your brand and your customer avatar, so then definitely go with that kind of thing. But it's a matter of researching who your customers are, like seeing if you can really embody that brand and if it works with your products, like if it makes sense. Like I wouldn't say that a Joker brand would work with medical products because usually when people buy medical products they're sick and it's just not, it wouldn't really work. I don't know. But yeah, hope that helps.
I think that my answer to that would be how to figure out your brand personality. These are just things that I went through when I was figuring out my brand personality. Always went back to obviously, well, who's my buyer avatar? And what I used to do, when I say used to, I still do it. But what I do, for example, is I'll get into, let's just say, for example, Facebook groups of where my customers hang out. Wherever my customers hang out, I'll be there with them, pretending to be one of them. So, yes. I did like a case study on like nurse products for nurses. So I made a fake Facebook, pretending I was a nurse. And I went into a whole bunch of different nurse Facebook groups. And, and then I found out so much about nurses and I watched so many YouTube videos. Can I tell you
a funny story? I was once working with a brand. This was years and years ago when I first started, and they wanted to make a video. They were selling aquarium products for people who have betta fish. They're really pretty fish. So I basically joined like a group. There was actually a Facebook group for people who own betta fish and they like are obsessed with their fish. And so you can literally learn so much by joining these groups. And whatever, they created this really funny video. It was a certain, aquarium product. Yeah.
So I think that figuring out your brand personality goes together with, well, who is my buyer avatar? And and also what is my I think it kind of brings together everything when you're doing your product research. For example, it's taking all that information and putting it into one and then making decisions. And what I mean by that is, what is your differentiation point? What is everyone else doing on your market analysis when you're analyzing the market that you're getting into? What is everyone else doing and what is missing, right? What we said what kind of buyer avatar, but when we say what kind of buyer avatar, it could be a nurse, but within my nurses, there could be many different types of nurses.
Yes.
So what is the price point? What are the price points that I'm going to be selling in? Because if I'm going after a much higher, I'm going to be selling it for a much higher price, then my branding also needs to be that. Yeah, it has to represent that. And then obviously, I just saw that Simon wrote here. I'll bring his comment up in a minute. Understanding also your customer pain points, that can also really help you on a branding level, obviously, 100%. As well. But also, it also always comes back down to, what kind of brand do you want to have within that specific market? And I think that when you really understand who your competitors are and you've analyzed your entire niche, you can understand also what is missing, which is exactly what I did with all of my brands. So exactly. The example I gave.
That's positioning for you. Basically, putting yourself in the right position that's different or better or whatever, it might be. Yeah, really looking at what's out there. It may have not worked if I would have been selling different types of products. It made sense for this specific brand because in this specific brand, there was no reason why there shouldn't be a luxurious brand within this brand and no one was doing it. So there was a gap there. So then when I thought of luxurious, I went and looked at a whole bunch of luxurious brands, not specifically in cosmetics. I remember looking at a whole bunch of really well-known, luxurious brands like Chanel and things like that. I didn't go to L'Oreal and Revlon and look at their types of things because that's not really luxurious. I went was looking at more of the more, Estee Lauder and those types of brands. And then I looked at color themes and things like that. And I wanted to understand what was going to be connected with luxurious on a color level as well. And that's why I went with metal, foil color, metal gold, and metallic gold, metallic pink, blacks and whites, where everyone else was either peach, light green, light blue, but everyone was with white and those colors. And everything was just honestly boring and healthy. I know healthy isn't boring, but it was just boring and healthy. But I knew that it could work because I understood the buyer avatar and I understood the competition. And that is what helped me to then understand what my branding was going to look like. Nice.
So I think that is, I really think that understanding what's already on the market is really important also for understanding where you want your brand personality to fit in, because if it's already been done and you're just going to be one more of them, it may not make sense. Simon said here, once you have your brand personality, you can create a brand story where your personality can help your customer pain point. And this will lead to the customer persona's boom brand in a post.
He's right. We should invite Simon on here. I don't know who he is, but
I'm going to invite Simon. I don't know if he'll agree to come on, but I know that he was on Norman Farrell's one. So if he was on Norman.
Yeah, so your brand story also, just to touch on it, is not going to be your story. A lot of people think, oh, it's going to be about me and how I started my brand, and it's not. It's not about you. Sorry. It's going to be about your customer and the pain points they're experiencing and the transformation that they're going to have when they start using your product. So you're basically like the guide that's going to guide them to the whatever, utopia that you want them to achieve, basically. So that's going to be your brand story. And then your brand personality obviously ties into that as well, because you're going to want to inspire your customers through your brand story as well.
Catherine asked, is it worth working on a brand personality for your first product, or how do you know you'll find enough products that make sense that early on? So I'd like to answer this one, Sacha, and then
go for it, because it's your area.
This is totally my area. Catherine, I specifically don't sell random products on Amazon. Many people do, and there's many people that make a lot of money doing it. I have never taken that approach, and my approach has always been, how can I find the specific buyer avatar and sell the types of products that they want and need, and make multiple products that they need, right? And I have all sorts of different methods for the way that I do that. But it's all about brand building. And when you're brand building, you're also not 100% dependent only on Amazon. You can also build your brand outside of Amazon too. So the question is, are you looking to build a brand? Because if you're going to be looking at selling random stuff online, then I just don't feel like it's the same. You know, I don't know if how Sacha would agree with this, but
I would describe it as like, you can definitely be successful just selling random products, but you're more of you're a commodity then. You're not necessarily a brand that people care about or connect with, but you're still making money, and that's totally cool if that's the way you want to go. And I think that you kind of can split sellers into two categories. There are people who have this big vision and big goal and dream for their brand, and then there's people who just want to make some money and support their family or get rich, you know, selling commodities, whether it's, I don't know, combs or toilet paper, whatever it is. Like there are, and also that's when you have to understand there are different types of buyers as well. There are buyers online who honestly couldn't care less about their brand they're buying from. They're like, just find me a solution to the problem, just find me a cheap, good price, and I'll buy it. I don't really care who the brand is. So it's definitely like split into those two different categories.
You can though sell a commodity and put amazing branding into it.
You can, 100%. Yeah. And then you're, definitely.
It's more about the bigger picture from day one. Are you looking to build a brand or, you know, around that specific avatar? And if so, because if you're built a brand, let's just say you're like Target, right? Target sells
everything.
Heaps of different different types of products. But when you think of Target, you think more of like on a budget or things like that. You don't really, you know, it's not, I can't think of anything American right now. I've got only our area type of stores in my head. But what I'm trying to say is a Target is a type of place that just sells a whole bunch of random stuff, right? A whole lot of different things that you would need for your home or whatever it may be. And then what I'm trying to say is it worth from day one? It's about your goals. And the thing is, you can also like change your decision. You could from day one have decided not to put 100% into your branding. And then you would have seen that you're selling really well. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, you know, and you decide to add other products to this brand. And then you could do your branding. I don't work in that way. I go hardcore on branding from day one. But I've seen many, many people that will wait until, you know, their product's done well. And then they'll build the whole thing around it, their slogan, their beautiful logo compared to the first logo that they made, and really understand their brand personality, etc. So I don't think that there's a right or wrong. I think that it's more about what's the bigger vision that you have and what's the end game, which can change over time. And I've seen this through work. I always knew what my end game was from day one. But from working with so many sellers, I've seen it change. Like I've seen people change their decisions. Is what I mean.
I think also just to add something, like I've worked with sellers from like Sharon's group who literally just have one product, but we've injected a lot of humor like into the copy when I write the listings, and you can totally do that, and it helps differentiate your product already from day one. And it's not necessarily this massive project. It's just more like, okay, fine, let's test this. Let's see if we can make my listing funny, or let's see if we can make my listing more luxurious sounding, especially now that more and more people are using A+ content. I think that's a great place to kind of test out your brand, and it doesn't have to be some kind of majorly expensive campaign that you build, you know?
Sacha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My AirPods died, I think.
Oh no.
And now, there you go. Okay, I can hear from my thing. I didn't hear anything you just said, but don't say it again because everyone else heard it, so it's fine.
Okay.
I just realized that I was on a totally different. Anyway, never mind. So, I had some more questions to ask, but because I'm on holiday, I think we're going to wrap it up this time, and I'll bring you back on, Sacha, because we did give a lot of information today. But you also do many different things. So you don't just talk about brand personality. You're a copywriter. You know, I send all of my clients to you for copywriting. You write listings. You create A+ content, not the actual images, but you do everything. You know, the writing, copy for it. And you are one of your, I don't know, you have like this sixth sense for writing. You bring you can make the like most boring products in the world. Like I'm not going to give examples because I have examples of actual people's products right now, but you can give like just that, make it sexy. You have this thing where you just are able to you're so creative. You're amazing. You're an amazing writer. And, you know, you guys that also follow me know that I only work with the best, and Sacha really, really is the best. And I'm so happy that you're also like talking more about the branding side of things, because you're more than just like a copywriter on like an Amazon level. You really have helped a lot of people that I know, because many of my clients have done this with you. You really have helped a lot of people to figure out their brand personality and bring, and you don't understand how much that's also helped them to then bring out many other products just from understanding brand personality as well, which maybe they wouldn't have thought of if they hadn't have met you or known you, or if you didn't, you know, write that stuff for them. So you're amazing, and I will bring you on again, obviously. Just quickly, so Simon said brand personality can evolve and grow with age, 100%.
100%. I'm building my own, like myself, a new website that's more, basically my current website, I don't feel it necessarily represents who I am today. And so I'm rebranding. I'm going to have different colors, Sharon. The blue is out.
I loved your blue, but that's awesome. I actually, I don't want to get into it now because I can hear my family outside waiting to come in. But what I wanted to say was I actually had to do a rebranding at some stage, because basically all of our competitors had really copied our type of branding and everything that we did on our branding. So I did do a rebranding once, which was very expensive and a real pain in the butt. But we'll talk about that another time.
Next time.
Magda said this was super interesting. And then Daniel said, Sacha, do you have a package that includes the premium listing and the A+ content? What do you need from clients to create the perfect list?
Tell him to email me, and I'll tell him about all my different packages. Yeah.
Okay. Daniel, the answer is yes, she does.
I do.
And
I do have
what she needs from you is just to understand your product. That's basically right. The rest, she's a magician, and she can do. SB said, thank you, Sharon and Sacha. This was a great session. So thank you so much, Sacha. I want you all to know that I would have kept going, but I am on holiday and it's dinner time here, and I want to allow my family to come into the hotel room, and I'm sitting on the floor and my butt hurts like crazy. So we will wrap it up. Sacha, thank you so much.
Great talking to you.
Wait, we forgot to mention that while you do all the stuff that you do, you also have 4 children.
Yeah, 4 children.
You're a super mom.
Send them to the park. No, they have a babysitter. Don't worry. Okay.
If anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Yeah, so they can find me on Facebook, Sacha Gorelik. I actually have, I'm also on LinkedIn, Sacha Gorelik. You can find me, or info at sachagorelikcopywriting.com. So whatever, wherever you want to message me, I'll try and get back to you. I have a small team, but I'm not one of these huge agencies, so you have to be patient with me as well. Yeah. I
think that is part of your I've
worked with my brand. Yeah.
I've worked with many copywriters, and there's many good copywriters in the space, but you're one of the only ones that actually does the work yourself, and you overlook everything else if it wasn't you. What I love about that is, sometimes I've just seen you'll hop on a quick Zoom call with a client if you don't 100% understand the product or whatever it may be, to make sure that you bring out, the maximum out of there. Like, I'm not trying to pitch you. I know that it sounds like I am now, but I'm saying
also just a good listener. Like, if clients come on, like, when they want to complain to me about like the bullshit that Amazon does, and I'm just like sitting there listening. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Like, it's so awful.
Don't get there. Honestly, as someone who speaks to so many people, don't go there. It's never ending.
I know.
But anyway, Catherine said, thanks so much, ladies. Have a nice holiday. Sharon, thank you so much. Domuda. That's an interesting name. I really hope that I didn't kill your name right there. I hope I said it right. It's been a pleasure listening to you too. Thank you very, very much. Sacha, thank you.
All right.
And I'm just thinking, you did say where people can find you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Isabella will be back on Monday, and Danny will be back on Tuesday, and of course I'll be back next Thursday. Thank you very much for everyone that was here with us and everyone listening back on the podcast. Have an amazing weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye.